And what about writing for film as opposed to television? Really, television has been your career, hasn't it? I mean, if you...
It has been. I have a minor credit on the Dad and Dave movie that George Whaley wrote and directed, but it is only a minor credit. I worked with him on one draft and it got rewritten after that, and I don't think a lot of what I contributed survived. So I've had an involvement in a movie that's been made, but only a minor one. I have written some movie scripts that haven't been made yet. I'm still quite hopeful that at least one of them is going to be, and I'm about to start work on a new one. I think writing film is different, not just because the budgets are bigger, but it's a lot harder to get a film into production. The lead time is much longer, and I think there's a kind of elusive difference between film and television. There's a difference, there's an audience difference. It's quite different between sitting at home and something comes on the screen and you choose to watch it or not. Between that and paying money to go out and see a movie. And a movie needs to have an idea about it that's maybe a bit bigger idea than television has. Something to create the desire to spend the money, go out, sit in a cinema. There are differences in audience age. Although for some time people have said that the cinema audience is 18 to 35, and so most films are made for that young audience. I think there is a shift in that now, and I think people are recognising that there's a baby boomer audience. There are people who are now at an age where their children have grown up and moved out, and they've got a bit of spare cash, and they're either retired or near retirement, and they go to the movies. And there's a kind of demand for movies for them. And I'm looking at that kind of market. I think that's more the area that I would write for than for the 18 to 35 market. So there's... People talk about a difference between cinema and film being a difference... sorry, cinema and television. The television is more dialogue-based, cinema is more visual. I don't really agree with that. I've seen some terrifically wordy, wonderful movies, and I've seen some television that's been almost dialogue-free. I don't really think that's the difference, but I think there is that difference of the central idea, the thing that that's interesting enough to get you out of your house and down to the cinema to spend money and have a night out. That idea is a bit trickier to come up with, I think.
Yes. Some writers seem to feel they have more, because dialogue drives a lot of television, that actually the writer has more control or input, I should say, not control, into a television than they do once a script's given to a director of a film.
Look, that's true. But I think one of the reasons that dialogue is so important in television, I think, is that it suits production. It's much easier to capture the sense of something in dialogue than just in images. And so you can shoot the story if people tell you what the story is in words. I mean, obviously in good writing, the actors don't tell you what the story is, but their words allow you to infer the story, to draw the story out of the things that the actors are saying, even if they're apparently talking about something else. They may not be saying, this is a story about love, but you would draw that out of what they were, even though they might actually be talking about biology or spiders or tropical rainforest or something, but you would realise that what's going on between these two people is attraction. And you can do that and shoot to a schedule much more easily with dialogue than you can with images. And so I think that's the reason that television often is more dialogue-based. Comedy is much easier in dialogue as well. The non-dialogue comedy is much harder to make and make sure it'll work than dialogue comedy, and takes more time, and therefore is probably more suitable to movies. I mean, movies take A movie would be happy shooting a couple of minutes a day of content. Television would probably make 5 or 6 minutes a day on average. In Grassroots, we were getting up to 12 or 13 minutes a day, which is pretty extraordinary, but we had to shoot that rapidly to make the schedule. Programs like Neighbours and Home and Away are probably made at 12 to 13 minutes a day. That's, you know, certainly 10 minutes a day. So you need to have the content in a form that means you can make that schedule. When you've got more time, as in film, you can spend more time in the setup and the rehearsal and so forth than you can in film, in television.